There comes a moment in life when you realize that attraction is not something you chase. It is something you become. It is not built through performance or approval. It is not created by trying to impress, explain, or prove your worth. Real attraction begins the moment you stop outsourcing your value and start cultivating your inner foundation. The most attractive people rarely announce themselves. They don't force attention. They don't compete for validation. They move differently. They carry themselves with a quiet certainty that doesn't need applause. Their presence feels calm, grounded, and intentional. And without trying, they draw people in. This kind of attraction is not accidental. It is the result of habits practiced daily, often in silence, often when no one is watching. One of the most powerful shifts happens when you learn emotional discipline. Not the kind that numbs you, but the kind that steadies you. When you stop reacting to every trigger, when you stop letting moods dictate behavior, when you pause instead of exploding, people feel the difference immediately. Calmness signals confidence. Control signals strength. In a world driven by impulse, restraint becomes magnetic. People are instinctively drawn to those who can hold themselves together under pressure. When chaos does not rattle you, when criticism does not destabilize you, when conflict does not pull you off center, you communicate something without words. You show that you are anchored. And anchored people are attractive because they make others feel safe. Another transformation happens when you develop self-respect in how you communicate. You no longer over-explain. You no longer rush to justify your choices. You don't fill silence with nervous words. You speak clearly, deliberately, and only when necessary. Your words carry weight because they are not wasted. This restraint creates mystery, and mystery fuels attraction. Not because you are hiding, but because you are grounded enough not to overshare. You trust that the right people will understand without constant explanation. That trust in yourself changes how others see you. Consistency begins to shape your presence as well. When you show up aligned regardless of mood, praise, or pressure, people notice. When your values do not shift to match the room, your energy feels stable. Consistency builds credibility. Credibility builds trust. And trust is one of the deepest forms of attraction. Attractive people are predictable in character, not in behavior. Others know where they stand with them. There is no emotional whiplash. No performance. No confusion. Just clarity. Purpose sharpens attraction even further. When your focus turns inward toward growth, discipline, and direction, your energy changes. You are no longer scanning the room for approval. You are building something. You are becoming something. People are drawn to motion, to direction, to someone who is clearly invested in their own evolution. When you have purpose, desperation disappears. You don't cling. You don't chase. You don't beg for attention because your attention is already committed to something meaningful. That independence is powerful. It tells the world that you are whole on your own. Presence is another habit that quietly reshapes attraction. Being fully engaged in the moment. Listening without waiting to respond. Making people feel seen without trying to impress them. In a distracted world, presence feels rare. And rarity always attracts. When you are present, conversations slow down. Energy deepens. People feel respected. And respect is magnetic. Not because you demand it, but because you embody it. Discipline reinforces everything. Discipline in how you treat your body. Discipline in how you manage your time. Discipline in honoring your commitments even when motivation fades. Discipline creates structure. Structure creates stability. And stability is deeply attractive in a world that feels uncertain. There is attraction in knowing you can rely on yourself. There is attraction in someone who keeps promises to themselves. That self-trust radiates outward and others feel it instinctively. Silence becomes one of your strongest habits. Knowing when not to speak. Knowing when not to react. Knowing when to let things remain unresolved. Silence communicates confidence. It shows you don't need to control every narrative. It shows you are comfortable being misunderstood while staying aligned with who you are. Attraction grows when you stop negotiating your worth. When you stop rehearsing imaginary conversations. When you stop carrying emotional baggage that doesn't belong to you. You become lighter, clearer, more grounded. People feel that clarity before you ever speak. At some point, you realize attraction was never about adding more. It was about removing what weakened you. Removing impulsive reactions. Removing validation seeking. Removing emotional dependency. Removing noise. What remains is presence. Stability. Direction. Self-command. If this message is resonating with you, take a moment to subscribe to the channel. This space is built for those who want real confidence, disciplined habits, and an unshakable presence. Stay connected and continue becoming the strongest version of yourself. True attraction is not loud. It is steady. It does not rush. It does not beg. It does not perform. It allows time and consistency to speak. When you master yourself, you no longer need to impress anyone. Your presence does the work. As you grow into this version of yourself, something subtle begins to change. You stop trying to manage how you are perceived. You stop adjusting your personality to fit expectations. You stop shrinking or exaggerating yourself depending on who is watching. What replaces that effort is ease. And ease is attractive. People are drawn to those who are comfortable in their own skin. Not because they are perfect, but because they are settled. There is no tension in how they move. No urgency in how they speak. No anxiety in how they hold eye contact. They are not rushing to be liked. They are not afraid to be misunderstood. They are simply present. This presence creates gravity. When you are grounded, conversations deepen naturally. People open up around you. They feel heard without being interrogated. They feel valued without being flattered. This is not manipulation. This is alignment. You are no longer performing connection. You are allowing it. Attraction grows strongest when effort disappears. Another shift happens when you begin to respect your own boundaries. You stop overextending yourself emotionally. You stop saying yes out of fear. You stop giving energy to people who drain you without returning respect. This is not selfishness. This is self-preservation. And self-preservation is attractive because it signals self-worth. People trust those who protect their time and energy. It shows discernment. It shows maturity. It shows that you understand your value without needing to announce it. As your habits solidify, your reactions continue to slow. Situations that once provoked you now pass without disturbance. Opinions that once shook you now feel irrelevant. You realize that not everything deserves your attention. And what you ignore becomes just as powerful as what you engage. This selective focus sharpens your presence. Attractive people are not everywhere. They are not involved in every conflict. They are not emotionally accessible to everyone. They choose where they invest themselves. That choice creates depth, and depth is rare. You begin to notice that people treat you differently. Not because you demand it, but because your standards are visible. Your calm communicates boundaries. Your silence communicates confidence. Your consistency communicates reliability. You no longer need to correct misunderstandings. Time clarifies what words cannot. There is a quiet authority that emerges when you stop explaining yourself. It is not dominance. It is certainty. It comes from knowing who you are and refusing to dilute it for comfort or approval. Attraction is amplified when you are internally aligned. When what you think, say, and do move in the same direction. There is no internal conflict leaking into your behavior. No insecurity hiding behind performance. Just clarity. This clarity is felt immediately. You also begin to carry yourself differently physically. Your posture changes. Your movements slow. Your eye contact steadies. Your breath deepens. This is not something you force. It is the natural result of inner stability expressing itself outwardly. The body follows the mind. As discipline strengthens, your daily actions gain weight. Small promises kept to yourself build quiet confidence. Routines become anchors. Habits become identity. You no longer rely on motivation. You rely on structure, and structure builds trust within yourself. That self-trust radiates outward. People are drawn to those who feel dependable, not just to others, but to themselves. Someone who does not collapse under pressure. Someone who does not abandon their principles when things get uncomfortable. Someone who stays rooted even when circumstances shift. Attraction deepens when people sense that you are not easily moved. You also stop romanticizing chaos. You stop equating intensity with connection. You stop confusing emotional volatility with passion. You begin to value peace. And peace becomes your baseline. This alone makes you stand out. Most people are unconsciously addicted to emotional stimulation. Drama, conflict, validation, reaction. When they encounter someone who does not participate in that cycle, they feel unsettled. Calm reflects their restlessness. Discipline reflects their avoidance. Stability reflects their inconsistency. And that reflection is uncomfortable. Some will admire it, some will resist it. Some will project onto it, but none of that is your responsibility. Your responsibility is alignment. If this message continues to resonate with you, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. This space exists for those who are done chasing attention and ready to build real presence, inner strength, and lasting confidence. As your habits compound, attraction becomes a byproduct, not a goal. You no longer measure your worth by responses, reactions, or recognition. You measure it by integrity, by consistency, by how well you keep your word to yourself. This shift is liberating. You stop rehearsing conversations that never happen. You stop carrying emotional residue from situations that no longer matter. You stop negotiating your value with people who haven't earned access to you. Your energy becomes cleaner, sharper, more intentional. People feel this immediately. Attraction is strongest when there is nothing to prove. When you let actions accumulate. When you let time reveal character. When you trust that what is aligned will stay and what is not will fall away. This is not detachment from life. This is engagement without dependency. You care deeply, but you are not controlled by outcomes. You invest fully, but you are not desperate for return. You show up authentically, but you do not abandon yourself to be accepted. That balance is rare, and rarity attracts. Over time, you realize that the most attractive habit of all is self-command. Command over your impulses. Command over your emotions. Command over your direction. When you master yourself, you naturally stop chasing approval. And when you stop chasing, you are noticed. This is the quiet paradox of attraction. The more grounded you become, the less effort it requires. The less effort it requires, the more powerful it becomes. Build these habits patiently. Reinforce them daily. Let them shape your presence slowly and honestly. Do not rush the process. Do not announce the change. Let the results speak. If you want to continue this journey, subscribe to the channel and walk this path with us. We focus on discipline, clarity, inner strength, and becoming unshakable in a distracted world. True attraction is not loud. It is steady. It is grounded. It is earned. And once it is built, it cannot be taken from you.